Hello my friends, my name is Niall McKeown. Digital transformation strategy. I just googled it and I found this as the key framework for a major consulting firm. Set clear targets, get management buy-in. Really? Is this as good as it gets? This is stating the obvious. Look, silly acronyms don't cut it. Power statements and project management terms is not going to lead to a transformed organization. We're talking digital transformation strategy here. We need data-driven frameworks that lead to insights and actions. Let's go. Before we get stuck in, I do want to give you a word of warning. This is a very detailed video. This is not some promotional marketing material. This is real life stories where we look at strategies and how they were created, transformation frameworks and how they were utilized, deep diagnosis and processes for going around it, understanding how to leverage data in order to help us make better decisions, the mindset shift that has to happen within a business if transformation is to really happen at scale, the importance of communications, innovation, business models. All of this stuff is going to be covered, and it is a detailed subject. Why? Because transforming a business is not an easy thing to do. It requires attention to detail. And this is the detail. We're going to wrap it all up in a lovely case study. And in this case study, there's a business that's in decline at the start. It goes through the process. It changes how it operates. It transforms in the digital economy, takes a new position and flourishes. That's it. So at the end, there is a heartwarming good story to all of this. But you'll have to take in the detail of how this happens if you're going to relay it and practice it on your own business. This is a lovely case study and I love to tell it. But as is normal with consulting case studies, I've changed the names to protect the innocent, but I can assure you that we have walked every mile with the business and the thrust of this story is true. I want you to meet Rachel. Rachel Fremore is third generation owner of 18 stores furniture business based in Arizona in the United States. She's in her mid-40s, she's very experienced, she's well connected, incredibly intelligent. And I'm going to give you a few facts about her business. And I want you to imagine you're in her situation. And when you see these facts, what would you do? Then we're going to look what happens when you apply proper digital transformation frameworks and data-driven insights and change the operating model and the business model of her business. Let's show you the facts. So what are some of the facts? So they have stayed pretty much in the urban areas. They have never really gone out of town. Now they have tried to go out of town. They get the costs of being out of town, but they don't get the footfall of these larger, bigger brands. They have very strong and stable, good business processes. There's no problem there. They have good trend purchasing. Their furniture is in vogue and when customers see it, they do like it. They have centralized their warehouses. So they have got the cost efficiencies that you can gain from having 18 businesses all feeding from one warehouse. They have got good marketers. They have a very supportive e-commerce platform. The technology is good. It integrates with their stock management system. They are profitable, but the profit's declining. And if the e-commerce store was the 19th store, it would be the largest loss maker. So there's some of the facts. What are you going to do about it? Okay, so I've given you some amount of information. It's probably not enough. If you were to pause and ponder, you'll come up with more questions. And this is where digital transformation strategy frameworks come in. Now, the frameworks won't give you the answers, but it will allow you to structure your questions, gather the evidence in order to make the best choices. It will also guide those choices. Data-driven frameworks insist on evidence, and if you've no evidence, then it's time to experiment. And that goes into the actions section that we have here. This is the 7 principles of digital business strategy. Whilst it can be used for e-commerce, it's more commonly used for business-to-business environments, working on business plans for business units, or it can be used for the entire organization. We have three clear sections here: zoom in, zoom out, and actions. I've mentioned actions, so let's take a look at zoom in. Zoom in is, what do we want to achieve? What do the customers want to achieve? Do you have the evidence? Qualitative and quantitative? What does the marketplace have? Who have we to displace? Do we have the power to do that? Have we got the resources, the talents? We then have to move into the zoom out. Zoom out is to understand the big picture. We need to understand where we are now in the digital economy. Where are we going to? What plays are there? Are there even defined plays? Yes, there are. So we need to play chess on the zoom out bit, and we need to get into the detail of what we're going to do in the zoom in bit. And the stuff that we can't figure out, well, that's the actions. Go and figure it out. Get me the data. And we're going to take a look at how you get that data. Now, I have one last thing to mention about data. There's two kinds: qualitative, what customers think, feel, behave, and quantitative, how many of them are there, measured in our analytics. Analytics and data like that doesn't tell you how customers think. Do they like your product? That comes in qualitative. Quantitative comes in the numbers of customers collectively and the actions that they're taking, the measurements that we're going to make. We need both. We need to get our ability to interrogate, to get the qualitative, and that's where we're actually going to start. We're going to seek some more qualitative insights from Rachel. And this is kind of like those paintings where you start to paint and you see the picture forming, but you're not quite sure of what it is until the end. That's what we're going to take a look at now. Okay, here we are. Strategic planning inside a digital transformation framework. Many businesses go wrong at this stage by starting with the technology. While technology can be an inspiration, everyone has access pretty much to the same technology. That's not where we will create our competitive advantage. We end up, if we ask our technologists to lead the transformation of a business, we get stuck in the digitizing phase. And it's not because the technologists have done something wrong. They just don't have the permission or consent to restructure the entire organization in order to make it better in the digital marketplace. We know that strategy is where we create competitive advantage. Your people and a culture of innovation sustains that competitive advantage. Technology and communications, well, that's the means by which this is delivered. It's the tool set. And it should be leveraged. It's essential in everything we do, but it's not strategic. What we need to do now is look at the 7 principles. We're starting off with number 1, know yourself. Know yourself breaks into 3 sections, with the first section being diagnosis, a diagnosis of the current state of the business. In this, we're looking for aha moments, unexplained phenomena, things that require evidence and data and further experimentation. It doesn't just happen overnight, it's something that can take several weeks. And it doesn't happen in isolation of the other principles. It's kind of like it gets polished and polished further the more times we go around doing the diagnosis, gathering data, understanding the marketplace, looking at the plays. The diagnosis of the situation, clarity comes with that time and linking the entire jigsaw pieces together. So what we want to do in this case is that we want to open with questions followed by whys. So, Rachel, the business isn't performing the way it once did. Why? Rachel explains that, well, retail costs are rising. E-commerce margins are shrinking. Bigger brands are starting to really dominate. They've come into territories they never used to play in. Out-of-town shopping has become the done thing, the destination. Occasional furniture, which we sell, isn't in demand because there's a huge amount of construction going on. And people are going out to decorate the entire house. We don't have that kind of variety. The out-of-town guys do. Let's move on to number 2. What is your strategic ambition? Well, Rachel replies, my strategic ambition is to make money. Yes, all businesses have to make money. That's not strategic. That's like saying my strategic ambition in life is to breathe. I mean, it needs to go beyond that. So when asked again, what does she mean? Where's the destination? Where are we going to in the journey? She doesn't have that vision, the clarity of vision. And this is normal for businesses that are feeling pressure of shrinkage but don't yet know which direction to go and how to transform. It's perfectly normal. Then we ask for the third stage, what makes us unique? Our furniture, she said. I pull out an IKEA catalogue and show similar furniture. Is it really that? Our people. What, the people that work in IKEA, what, they're smelly and yours are fragrant? How do you define that your people is the most unique thing? Here's a sentence I ask people to fill out. We are the in for because we do what better than anyone else? It's really difficult to fill that sentence in. It's really difficult. But if we can't fill it in, then we don't have a unique value proposition. And if we can't say what makes us unique, it's hard for the customer to put a label on it. So, in summary of Know Yourself, we really have a bad situation here. We've got lots of problems that seem to be so large that we can't shape them. We don't really have a vision for the future. And whilst we have some level of interest and uniqueness, it's very hard to articulate. This again is normal, but it's not good. We need to fix it. On to the second section. Know the customer. Know the customer breaks into three: volume, task, and intent. How many people are in Arizona looking for a furniture store? I mean, is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 1 million? How many people per month are looking for it? And what percentage of that interest does Rachel even appear for? And if you're going, well, there's people who will just drive by and stop, their numbers are remarkably few. Like everyone else, like you, like me, we want to go to a furniture store, we Google where the furniture stores are. So it's a really good and interesting place to start by looking at the number of people that are actually looking for that. And this data is free. I'm going to show you where you get it. And I don't care if you sell furniture or you sell magnets for the Large Hadron Collider. You will see that there is search traffic for almost anything, unless it's a brand new invention where people don't yet know about it. So we need to get the data to understand the volume. The task. Well, that task will be, what is it that they're trying to accomplish? Furniture store, is it directions? Is it inspiration? We don't know the task. And you'll see that that will lead to further investigation, experiments that need to go into the actions. And then their intent. Okay, if they're looking for furniture stores and find me, do they come? Do they turn up? Will they buy online? I mean, do they intend to procure? Because a customer that doesn't buy isn't actually a customer. So we need to understand the size of the market, what they're trying to do in that market, and if we're aligned with what the market wants. We're going to take a look at some key tools that are used in this area. It's most interesting. Imagine I was to show you the spreadsheet and say, hey, what's the answer? Well, what's the question, I hear you ask? And that's the way this tends to work when it comes to data analysis. You got to start with the question, not the data. And we have 3 questions that we know from our framework that we would need answered. To undergo this analysis, for volume, we're going to look at Google Trends. It's a broad brushstroke tool. Then we're going to look at Keyword Planner, which is embedded in Google AdWords. And then we move on to finding out the tasks people are wanting to complete by looking at Search Console and Google Analytics, which are embedded in our own website. We're going to take a demonstration of this stuff now. Of course, if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments, and while you're down there, a little like and subscribe would go a long way. Let's get stuck into the demo. We go to trends.google.com to see what the latest trends are in search terms. I look for furniture stores and I get the confirmation, yes, in Arizona there are lots of people searching for furniture. But there's more insight that I can gain from this. I can see that Tucson is less popular than Phoenix and Yuma less popular again. But the interesting trend for me is that used furniture stores are in the ascendancy. Lots of people have now switched from looking for just normal furniture stores to used furniture stores. I don't know the reason behind this yet, but it will require further investigation. But I can confirm lots of people looking for furniture stores and lots of new trends around used furniture. Google Keyword Planner. Word of warning, you'll need a credit card to set this up, but once you do, you're given access to a whole suite of free tools. Go into Tools and Settings and search out Keyword Planner. The Keyword Planner is designed to give marketers insight to the size of the addressable market. For Rachel, we want to know how many people are actually looking for furniture stores, and then we want to know, well, how many of those people that are looking for furniture stores are able to find Fremore? Because this will start to give us an understanding if we're able to address the size of the market, or if the market is actually finding us, but they just don't like the task and intent that we are proposing for them. The sample here is of 8.2 million people. I mean, this is an astonishing research tool. All I have to do now is tell Google that I'm going to pay the maximum amount for their ad, even though I'm not buying any ads, and they'll tell me the maximum size of the addressable market. 99,000 people per month are expected to be looking for furniture stores in the state of Arizona. Wow, that's compelling insight. So we've left volume. We now want to know what the customer's tasks are. What are they trying to accomplish? We go into Google Search Console. This is embedded on your own website. This is something that your web guys can set up for you. And when we can look at the numbers, we see that Fremore Furniture, the actual title of the shop, is being searched for about 2,500 times, of which we see 139 clicks. But furniture stores, well, it's appearing 2,395 times, but yet only getting 88 clicks through to our website. We know that there's 99,000 people looking for this. We are only being shown 2,395 times out of that 99,000. And we must be pretty low down because we're only getting clicked on 88 times. We are getting less than 1,000th of the market for the people looking for furniture stores. This is my favorite tool and I've left it to the last. It is Google Analytics. And in Google Analytics, it tells us what customers do in our presence. Imagine they walked into the store and you're able to observe them. This is what's happening. It breaks into an ABC, audience and acquisition. B is the behavior and C is the conversions. If I look at the column that says acquisition, I can see that they come from organic search, direct, that's where they're typing in our URL, and referral traffic, maybe coming from interior decoration blogs. I can also see paid searches down here at the bottom. What I can see on the right hand side is that paid search, which is costing us a fortune, is yielding very little, and referral traffic, where we're spending so little of our time, is yielding the most. This, when shown to Rachel, comes as a surprise, which proves that the business just simply isn't data centric. We're not asking the right questions. This is not the fault of marketers. The leaders never asked anything to do with how customers behaved on their premises, their digital premises. It's going to have to start becoming a core metric. So I call these line in the sand figures. I mean, they're just ratios that I'm looking for here. I'm not trying to figure out if we're performing well in search engines. I'm wanting to understand the size and the volume of the potential addressable market. And in this case, it's 99,000. You may find a better search term that will say 120,000. Though what I do care about is that I'm only getting 2.5% of the potential of that market and 0.08% of the click-throughs. And it's just an indication that things aren't performing well, even though we employ people in search engine optimization. It's not their fault. It's that there's bigger players that have got greater momentum, that are able to displace us. It's not search engine optimization, it's search engine displacement. And search engine displacement, when that happens, it's an indication of innovation, a transformed business, They work much better than businesses that have digitized in gaining the attention of customers. We've seen that when we use third parties to influence the inbound inquiry, that we do get better sales. But even if we amplified that times 10, it's still not going to be enough. And does all of this affect footfall? Well, we do know that there's a direct correlation between when we appear in search and footfall through the door. It's still a tactile experience when trying to buy furniture. So the inbound inquiries are not coming through, we're not being found, it forces us to spend money on advertising. The advertising money that we're spending is going to become uncompetitive due to its cost. We can see that there's an interest in second-hand furniture. That does not mean we enter the second-hand furniture market because of a trend. It means that we put it into the action section and try to figure out what we're going to do with this information. Try to bring it together with the other pieces of information we're collecting along the way. Next, we're going to take a look at know the marketplace. And what we mean by that is know the competitors. And they can be measured. I mean, they can have a punching weight. And what I strongly suspect is that Rachel's business doesn't have enough punch to displace the big players. But let's put some numbers to that. Imagine competing in the digital economy is a bit like a boxing match. There are heavyweights, middleweights, lightweights. The purpose is to measure your weight before you go to battle. Only fight the battles that you can win. The tool is called propulsion. It makes a prediction of your weight, and that comes from how innovative you could be perceived in the digital economy. It looks at your history and the digital footprint that you've made and compares it to other like-for-like businesses. The report also contains an estimate of our macro position in the digital economy, but we'll get to that later. Freymour Furniture score is 21. America Furniture Warehouse, remember them? They were in our trends report. They're scoring much higher. Living Spaces, Ashley and IKEA are all massively invested in being high performance businesses in the digital economy. Freymour doesn't have this kind of resource to take on this battle, even locally. Most people want to know more about these numbers. Where do they come from? Well, when we take a look at the high-performing digital businesses and take a look at their history, they innovate with consistency. The greater the consistency and the better the innovation, the greater the bounce that they get in the digital economy. It's not a measure of the content on their website. We don't look at their website. We look at everything that surrounds the website that would help give an independent verification of if a business is innovating with frequency. And as you'll see, there is a correlation between innovations that are accepted by the industry and growth. Okay, we're going to take 5 and 6 together. We're going to come back to 4, which was resources. I'm going to assume we've got infinite resources, just for now. And in 5 and 6, I'm able to articulate where am I now and what play am I going to make. And like all good consultancies, we have invented our own quadrant. But this quadrant's different. It's data powered. It uses the scores in propulsion to help us understand where we are in this digital economy and be able to map it against competitors. And then of course there are plays that we can make, and we can then emulate what it's going to take in order for us to succeed in each of these quads. Now it's multi-layered and we're not going to go into it too deeply, but let me just give you a little bit of quick background. The yellow square, advocacy, it means that you build your business up over reputation over many years. The handshake, word of mouth, referral. This is how Freymour Furniture has been built up over many years. But changing customer behaviours means that they're now searching for it. So is staying in advocacy going to work for us? Probably not. We could move across to attention. This is paid for ads. Google AdWords or display ads on Facebook, whatever it happens to be, or Instagram ads, they all have a cost of acquisition of a customer. The challenge that we face in the black square is that we pay for ads, we get attention, but there is a moment in time when the cost of acquisition exceeds the value of the customer because it's typically auction based. The more mature the market, the higher the cost and the higher the competition. Customers who come to our website from an advocacy perspective, want to know about us, the person that's been referred to. Check out your Google Analytics. You'll see that advocacy, it's the About Us page, the Contact Us page, that's typically the most visited. Go to the Attention page, it's the Products or Services section. Why? Because somebody has searched for, I need this solution to this problem, the itch that needs scratched. Authority is different. Its growth profile is different because authority businesses have achieved this certain status within a niche, a small niche. They do this by powering their drive from advocacy to authority by innovation. Innovation is key. This is why a culture of innovation is supportive of a digitally transformed business. We can recognize these people from a data perspective because it's all about earned media. People point at them and say, hey, look at this. They share their stories much more frequently. So we'll find that in Frame-more Furniture's situation, it's not getting shares constantly coming through because it's just publicizing more furniture. There's no innovation in what they're doing. Then the prime players, well, this is our IKEA, our American Furniture Warehouse. These are the guys that are soaking up all of the mass in the area. And you'll find that authority businesses can try to attack them if we have a innovation. And it's probably not a product innovation, but a business model innovation. So I'm going to map this out in both the quadrant and its growth profile. Let's take a look at what could happen, what Rachel's plays could be. She could stay in advocacy and try to continuously grow the business, but it's taken 54 years to get to her 18 stores. She's more ambitious than that. She would like to double the number of retail outlets and have a thriving e-commerce business. She doesn't have 54 more years to do that. And there's no reason to even believe that if she did continue that this would happen. So advocacy is going to be a tough play. She could go instead for attention, which is what she's tried, as we've seen in her analytics. But there is this break point where the cost of acquisition is greater than the transactional value of the deal. The CPA is greater than the deal, and therefore your business can then decline again, and we've seen that with Frame-more. So she's got one other option. She could look to become an industry authority, but it needs an innovation lift. And that means changing something to better suit the marketplace. This doesn't happen naturally. Good ideas are not the same as innovations. Creativity is not the same as innovation. Innovation is a discipline that requires resources. We're on to that resources idea. Before we go, being an industry authority is not the same as being good in your industry. Everybody's pretty good in their industry, especially if you ask them. You need to invent, publish, be critiqued and accepted. It is a cruel sport. Things that you think are going to really power you up and make people want to know your brand because of your innovation, flop. So it takes energy, dedication and resource. It also takes insights that come from these frameworks and data that will help us spot where the opportunity lies. So we can go from advocacy to authority in this circumstance. The challenge that happens for a small business like Frame-more is that the resource requirements change. Now, what do we mean by that? The resources required for an advocacy play is lots of people, time. Green is the leadership talent, the leadership. So we don't need leaders to be present when we're just running retail outlets and an e-commerce outlet. We just need lots of time. We could go across to attention and it requires lots of cash. Or we could go to authority and it requires a reasonable amount of time, but it requires absolute dedication and focus from senior leaders because we're innovating to transform our business. I'm always surprised at how little time senior leaders give to transforming their business. This is something that if you want it to happen, it's going to require your focus and attention. This is the strategy. This isn't a digital part of a bigger strategy. This is the strategy. Here's a quick analysis of what we know so far. If we stay in advocacy, it's going to be dangerous because competition are bigger than us, yet it's their first touch point. If we decide that we are going to try to create a unique value proposition, we don't yet have the engineering to make it happen. If we look for what the customers want, they're more attracted to bigger brands, they're going out of town, their behaviours have changed. There's a current list of actions that are sitting in the action section, but we know that they will not save the business. We know that moving to an attention model and trying to battle that out, we will lose. The cost per acquisition for us is something these larger firms can absorb. So we really are at a difficult situation, but we do have options. The play that Rachel goes for is that she says, we are going to become an industry innovator. I don't care what it takes. We are going to become an industry innovator. She is brave. She's chosen a play that only works sometimes. It's not guaranteed. But she's going to innovate around product, service, and business models. This is a pivotal point in her career. She's choosing to step in to lead a business that has been in existence for 54 years through rapid change. The first thing she does is she prepares herself. Phase one of that preparation is that she tries to gain the digital mindset, understands what it means to lead a business through transformation using data. She wants to know how to make data-driven decisions, the business capabilities of emerging tech such as artificial intelligence. She needs to know how all of this stuff works, so she takes a sequence of courses on it. The second thing she does is she goes into the data and goes further into finding more qualitative and quantitative feedback. And then the third thing she does is she starts creating these hypotheses of what she thinks could be going on and building a list of her assumptions and then validating those assumptions through interviews of qualitative nature and using data to try to see if it's a scalable model if she goes on a quantitative quest. This is a different language for Rachel. It's a different language for the business. It needs the personal preparation from Rachel's perspective if this is going to work for her. We take a look at what could be happening with this idea of lots of construction going on and also people looking for second-hand furniture. We've seen this in the statistics, we've seen it in the qualitative interviews that we've done with Rachel, and we take a quick look online to see who is supplying these people who are looking for second-hand furniture. And this is the list that we find. No one of any great heft is supplying this market opportunity in Arizona. Do we pivot our business? No, not yet. We get the qualitative feedback. So Rachel rings the Landlords Association and starts to speak to landlords who are buying up the vast swathes of these new properties that are being developed. She starts to talk to tenants and seeing what are their problems or desires. It turns out that many of these are either second homes, retirement homes, or people who are migrating to the area for jobs, well-paid jobs, and that they're just simply looking for furnished property. They don't necessarily want to own the furniture for a long period of time because it may be there for a year, 2 years, 3 years. So Rachel starts to think, if people are looking for the second-hand furniture, we want to be able to supply them with a better solution. What would that solution be like? So she decides to start to put together a brochure and a portfolio of services, and she goes back and talks to the landlords and talks to the tenants. And she sees that the landlords and tenants both are hungry to find a solution where they can simply offer a portfolio of designs and the tenant picks what they want and someone else takes care of it. The landlords just want to have furnished properties that the tenants want to move into, and the tenants want to have some level of customization. So she takes it to an extreme. What would every tenant want? And when you ask the tenants, they say, I want to be able to get whatever furniture I want in, not have to pay extra for it, return the furniture when I don't want it anymore, and even change the furniture midway through my contract. So she brings that back to her innovation workshops and says, this sounds crazy, but could we do it? Could we offer people a broad selection of furniture under those terms? It turns out that with her experiments starting small, still running her current furniture business, people say they want to be able to swap out furniture. But when she experiments, they don't. When that sofa's comfortable, it ain't leaving. When the bed feels right, no one's swapping it out. So she's able then to bring in a business model whereby landlords can offer tenants like a wine menu of options of furniture. Turns out that the tenants don't want to pick every individual item, they want to pick a theme. The experiments show us this. A theme per room. Kids room, which of these three themes would you like to pick? It turns out that there's this low, mid and high tier, and we're best suited to the mid to high tier. The landlords then start optioning this in as either the tenant can pay for it or they'll build it into their rent as part of the differentiated proposition for themselves. What happens is that we've now cleared up the unique value proposition for Fremore. We know what we want, we know what the customer wants, we know what the marketplace has to offer, and we know that we can beat them. We know that there's a trend, and the trend appears to be growing. We know that the business model is different to our retail one, but it still leverages everything that we have from warehousing to purchasing. We know that it requires more innovation if we are to take that journey north. And we know that this is a game that we can win at. So over time, Rachel builds this new unique value proposition. She puts it out to the market. It's concrete, it's verifiable, and it's quantifiable. She's able to differentiate herself and link in with a new cohort of customers that she didn't know existed before she started going through this deliberate practice of change. Her first stage was to build and create a brochure. Asking customers what they want, you'll not get a good answer. Showing landlords and tenants what you think they want, they'll very quickly tell you if it's right or wrong. When she understood what happened there, she then moved on to creating experiments to validate her assumptions. Customers we thought wanted choice. Actually they do, they just want broad choices. They want themes, not individual pieces. When we then got into level 3, we started to build business to business scenarios to work with the landlords and business to consumer for online catalogues to allow the customers to choose to see where the furniture was, pick delivery dates and handle logistics. As business started to pick up, our technology requirements became drastically different. We ended up having to build specific apps for tenants to take photographs of the furniture that was due to be returned. And that furniture that was due to be returned, it was identified using artificial intelligence as being the stuff that we put in. And better than that, it was put onto the website and sold before it left the house. The business model turns out best that we sell the furniture and within 2 to 3 years it's paid for. Then we have an exclusive access to mid to high tier furniture that goes into second-hand websites, in particular our own, and can get sold through the retail outlets or to anyone else, quite often before it even leaves the house. So this entire new business model has changed over time how Rachel's business is able to create value and attract new customers. And as her business has grown in the second-hand and furniture rental market, the retail business has started to decline, not evaporate, but decline. And this has more than replaced it. And what's better still, when the pandemic hit, most of her money was coming from recurring rental revenues. Rachel had to build a new network of connections to make this happen. It wasn't just everything that she had, she just flipped it over and away we went. I mean, she had to get all of the factoring for finance, credit ratings to be performed, furniture returns, repairs, whole extra suites of connections. It's not just straightforward and simple. But she has transformed her business massively by going through a structured process to gain insights and data, to have the conversations, to then instruct the technologists as to what it is she wanted done. Not having people come with fresh technology and telling her, look, this would be a good idea. It was all strategically planned. And when doing that, she was able to take her staff and her team with her. I think Rachel is incredibly brave. I think her ambition, her drive, and her desire to both self-improve and be the third generation of a business that can continue to flourish took some real guts, tricky decisions, based on evidence but not always complete. She made the right calls and her business is now flourishing. She did it using the 7 principles of digital business strategy. She did it using the data-driven tools that we've shown and more. She's now an artificially intelligence-powered innovator who's looking for the next innovation. And the competitors, they're starting to come after her. But I give them 5 years before they even get close. You've made it this far, and for that I thank you. You could do me a favour before you go. Please hit the like and subscribe button down below if you can. Please place any comments that you like. And if you're a business that would need some assistance, we offer programs of education and consultancy anywhere in the world. We also are looking for partners who would like to license our framework and be able to teach the methods that we use and also consult on their own projects using our own frameworks and methods. But even at the very least, if you've got some good education out of it, I'll be happy. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.